Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very festive episode of Small Town Failing Podcast. I am your host, Joe, joined by the one and only elusive. That's not the right word. I don't know what elusive would mean.
I'm never here.
I can never find this guy. I look all over the house.
Responds to anything I say.
Evan Slead is here.
Hey.
From such feature films as, what is it, The Irresistible Blueberry Farm we did? That's the only one I ever remember because it was episode 1.
I know I've been on like probably 3 or 4 times, and you're right. I can't remember anything else we've talked. Well, wasn't there the one with there was something about the food trucks?
There was the food trucks. You're Baking Me Crazy. Was it that one?
I think it was You're Baking Me Crazy.
And then we did do, was it the Housewives, Christmas Housewives with the Kyle Richards one, right?
How could we forget? That's right.
But this one that we're discussing this week, Ladies of the 80s, A Diva Christmas, which I don't even know where to begin. And we'll get more into it. But I think originally we had caught up and we're going to do, there was this Denise Richards movie that came out, like Love on the Air or something. Did you watch that by chance? Because Leslie and I did.
Oh, no, I didn't watch it. What was the thoughts?
It was, I will say, I don't want to spoil this, but looking back now, I think I probably enjoyed it more than this one. But it was definitely like batshit. A Christmas Frequency, it was funny because I think I sent you the trailer, and I think I even warned you, like, we watched it, and I'm pretty sure the trailer gives away the entire movie. Like, she's like, she plays like a radio host, like a morning advice, like a Frasier type personality in, I think, St. Paul, Minnesota. And like the whole idea is like she's trying to find her. She gives like love advice, and her husband have split up, and she's scared to say that on the air because, you know, she's giving love advice and her marriage is falling apart. And then it's about her like trying to meet a new man, and like she starts dating the same one that like her co-host is dating. It was like super weird. But looking back now, you know, maybe a little more enjoyable than Ladies of the 80s. But we'll get deeper into that. So this episode will come out on Christmas Day, seeing that Christmas is this coming Monday, which we were just talking, I have not even thought about to this point. But you're on break right now. Like, are you doing holiday shopping? Are you doing anything? Do you do gifts?
Yeah, we try to do, like, I mean, we're, you know, as you are, we have the 2 families to buy things for, 2 parentals, you know, siblings, in-laws, all that kind of stuff. So I think we have most of it done. The only thing that was tricky was we were supposed to see my family here in California later this week, but there's supposed to be like a torrential downpour. So my dad already said, like, yeah, we don't really want to drive in that rain, nor do we want you guys to do that. So I was like pivoting, and so today I bought some cards, and I'm just gonna mail them to them because we won't be here for Christmas. We'll be in New Orleans with my fiance's family, which we have their gifts.
Bayou
from the bayou, get some gumbo
down on the bayou. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's like one of
I'm sure some people have that accent.
Yeah. But I don't know if like I'm allowed to use it, or you even, like, looking the way that we do.
I think we are, because I think everyone that lives in that area has that accent. So I think we're good.
Oh, God, I hope so.
I'll ask when I'm there.
Does your fiance, is that, I would love it, like, if he walked into the room and he's like, I guarantee, Evan, if you don't get off that podcast,
he should not be speaking like that. Yeah, I wish he did, but no, he doesn't. He has a normal, you know, it's like, I guess, American accent. I don't know what you would call it. American? Sure.
Yeah, I guess. And you're still going to go through with it? Like, unless...
I know. It's the one. It was my one linchpin. I thought, oh, he's from New Orleans. He's going to sound exactly like that. But then he just sounds like someone who is from California. So
disappointing. Yeah.
I know.
What are you going to do?
Everyone has flaws, you know?
So you guys going to be in New Orleans for Christmas? Have you've been there a bunch of times, but I assume not for the holidays?
Pretty much every time I've been, it's been right before Christmas, and then I've flown
Uh-huh.
home to do with my parents. But we're actually being there for the holiday this year, so
Oh,
it's surprisingly not like that cold or festive feeling there.
yeah.
It's kind of like how it is here, where it's like usually in like the high 60s, 70s kind
Mm.
of thing. So,
And
but not for
are
you
you
though. You're in like prime
well, that's the like
winter.
where so I'm right outside of Chicago, and the
Mhm.
trouble we always have here is like around December, and you get into like this weird, like it'll be like 50, and then the
Mhm.
next day it'll be like -20, and then it'll be like 70. So like I have pictures of like Christmas Day where like I'm out back in a t-shirt, like drinking a beer. And then there's other ones where it's just like there's snow everywhere. Like you
Yeah.
never know. So I don't know. I haven't even looked at what the forecast is. So we'll see.
Has it snowed at all this year for you guys?
We got like one, whereas like maybe a quarter of an inch, but like
Oh,
not much. Other than that, we've just gotten like a bunch of rain. So that's the thing too. Like it doesn't feel like we've got the lights up and everything, but like it doesn't feel Christmassy, like because
mhm.
it's just like you can still like see everyone's grass and like there's no snow and that.
Welcome to that's how it feels in California every year, where you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's Christmas," and you only know that just because they play Christmas music everywhere, but it literally looks the same that it does
Yeah.
all year round.
Do you
So,
decorate the pad, or are you like a tree or anything, or
we have like little decorations, but nothing too crazy. The tree, I don't know. That would be we don't have enough space, I think, for a
mm,
tree, so we kind of just enjoy other people's decorations. Like my parents' house, we'll go visit there, and they've got all the whole setup. But for us, I'm like, I don't want to clean it up.
it's a
I'm one of
lot.
those. I'm not that festive.
I'm very much like we put up a lot, but I'm very much like December 26th, like I'm taking this crap down. I want it gone. Like
Yeah, that's fair.
and Leslie's like her family always kept everything up till 3 Kings Day, which I forget what date that is. Um and like that's kind of our, I don't know. We usually have a battle back and forth, but she usually says, "Well, if you take it down," and like I'm usually up very early, and both her and the kids like to sleep in a little bit. So like I'll be up at like 4 a.m. and then like they'll wake up and just everything will be gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you did it all, so who cares?
The
Um,
little Christmas thief came in the middle of the night.
Damn it, fucking
Honestly, it's
elf.
nice though, because putting stuff away is like a lot of work. So you're
Yeah,
giving them a gift, really.
exactly. Which is that's the way Leslie sees it too. So there's not much of an argument there.
Sure, sure.
Um, Speaking of arguments, do you know who argues? Divas.
They sure do. Not really till the end, but yes.
So this movie, Ladies of the 80s, A Diva Christmas, which was on Lifetime a couple weeks ago. I want to say like shortly after Thanksgiving, or maybe even a little later. It could have only been like a week or two ago, but
Mhm.
it's still floating around there. So you can find it, if after we discuss you're interested. Directed by Christine Will Wolf, which is two last names, Will and Wolf. And starring, like, I don't even know where to begin here.
Yeah.
Loni Anderson, Morgan Fairchild, Donna Mills, Linda Gray, Nicollette Sheridan. And then there are like two main characters that the trailer, they don't really do much of like showing them, but Travis Burns and Taylor Ann Thompson, who, they've been in things. But the whole setup is this. So right off the bat, this is where I started to get confused. So
Yeah.
we kind of start off with all of these women in a soap opera that's, I guess, filmed in New York, like a lot of this, and we'll kind of get to it. But like the show was called, what was it, like something Lake, or I feel like I should have written this down,
Oh
and maybe
God,
I
you're
do have.
right. Yeah, Great Lakes.
Great Lakes. There you go.
Mhm.
So all these women have been on like soap operas. Nicollette Sheridan was on Desperate Housewives. I think she was on a soap opera too, potentially.
She was on Knots Landing with Donna Mills too.
There you go. Yep. Linda Gray was on Dallas. Lonnie
Mhm.
Anderson and Morgan Fairchild were on, like, I don't, Days of Their Lives or something along those lines. Like, I
I
don't.
think wasn't Morgan. Sorry, this is This is
I'm
like the
sure.
only bit of trivia that I ever have to pull
Yeah.
out. Morgan Fairchild was mostly Falcon Crest.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
then Loni Anderson was what was that, like
Oh,
WKRP?
well, she was on WKRP in Cincinnati, which I
Right.
loved. I don't know. That may have been, it was a little before my time, but I definitely watched a ton of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Oh, for
it
sure,
was
for sure.
the theme song alone, like, big fan.
It's a throwback.
And then I don't know, there's a bunch of other people in here, but the idea is like all these women were on a soap opera, a fictional one. They all had some sort of falling out, and then the idea is that Travis Burns, who plays Alex, is a writer that wants to have like a holiday special with all of them, I think, out west. And Nell is going to come in and direct this thing. And obviously, Alex and Nell were like together when they were going to film school, or, there's a history there. And then these five women, I don't even know where to begin. Like, there's so much that goes on here. Like, it's hard to even explain, but like, they've all had separate falling outs or haven't really spoken at some point. So the idea is that they're all coming out west to film in this house. And like, right off the bat, I'm super confused because like they set it up as, I originally thought, a reality show, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's scripted. And I don't mean in the way that like, I think everyone knows Evan and I watch a lot of Housewives, and like obviously that stuff is sort of directed. But like this guy, they keep showing Alex, one, sitting in a room in his boxers for some reason,
Right. Yeah.
writing the script for this. So, not to give too much away, but like eventually when we see them filming, it turns out when they say reality show, they just mean that like they're doing the show live, I think, right? Like, is that the
Yeah, I
impression you
think
got?
that's what I got too. Yeah, I was with you on that. Like there's stuff at the beginning about, like you said, they're doing a reunion sort of like special that, since they're all, big stars from this main soap opera, that people are excited about, which I think from what we understand was just a traditional straightforward soap opera that
Yeah.
was filmed, multicam kind of thing. Um but then this, like, there's a lot of weird, like, scenes of them baking together,
Yeah.
and it's almost like something, almost like promotional material, but then it's like, but then they were acting like, oh, there's no chemistry between any of them right now, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's promotional material, so like no one would even know. So it's like, is it reality, or is it, or is this going to come later? Because then even later, like, they have a different format, like you were
Yeah.
saying, with like people watching live and stuff. So yeah, it's a little confusing, like the whole setup.
And they're all staying in the same house. And
Yeah.
like when I say all, I mean like Alex and Nell are staying in this house too, even though they're presumably from the area.
Mhm.
Like Nell rolls up in a like a coffee truck.
Yeah.
So at first I'm like, oh, she's craft services or something.
Right. Right.
But then she's like inside and like, all right, I guess I'll direct this. Like somebody backed out and I guess she stepped into the role. Like there's so much going on in this. And like even outside of the five like main divas, quote unquote, and like their backstory, and then whatever the hell's going on with Alex and Nell. Like, I don't know. I'm curious, like when you watch the trailer or like walking into this, like what was your expectation of this?
I thought it would be a lot more like, I honestly don't even remember the trailer. I know I watched
Yeah.
it, but I think what my thought was is like, because the focus and the name of the movie is Ladies of the 80s, there would be a lot more focus and almost like backstory on,
Yeah.
like, are they going to do like a fictional show? That's the direction they went. So they're all from the same show. Obviously, like on a meta level, we're all like, yes, these were all women that were big in the 80s in soap operas from various, various shows. So like, not the same show, but the idea is there. And so I was kind of like thinking they were going to maybe build on that a little bit more, but that's
Yeah.
kind of like vague. And then at the end, they go into some backstory a little bit of
Mhm.
how they were all perceived on the show, like what their relationships were like. But I didn't, it was kind of disappointing because like it sort of quickly was like clear, like, oh, this is going to be just like another Christmas romance movie where it's like
Yeah.
two young people that don't really like, they do like each other, but they don't know how to express it. And I'm just like, can we step away from that for
Yeah.
once, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Like, one, the trailer, and it's been a while since I watched it too, but like from what I remember, they definitely focus on the fact that like Loni Anderson's in this movie and like,
Hmm.
all these characters that and they really don't show any of like Alex and Nell and like that whole kind of what you said, like traditional Hallmark / Lifetime Christmas movie. Cause at the heart of it, it is very much like, oh, we had a miscommunication. Now we're falling in love. Like, I don't know if it matters if we spoil this, but like obviously they get together at the end, right? But
Yeah.
like they went to school together and then they I think had like shared a kiss or something, and then like he
Hmm.
kind of ghosted her, and there was never like an explanation as to why, and they never spoke after. So like there's all this unfinished business, and like it's very sort of by the book what people expect from these movies.
Hmm.
But on top of that, they shoehorn in this whole dynamic between all these women, and like I think the main, and I honestly, for this purpose, I feel like let's just use their real names. Like it's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
easier to remember.
Sure.
But like, who is it? Nicollette, Sheridan, and Donna Mills. Like they're the two of these five women, the main ones that are feuding, and
Hmm.
we kind of get an explanation that like Donna Mills disappeared, right? Like everyone was filming in New York. Nicollette Sheridan and Donna Mills were very close. I think even like sharing an apartment at the time. And then all of a sudden Donna Mills disappeared. And like that was their falling out, and they haven't spoken since. So like that's the main tension, at least within the group. I mean, on
Yeah.
top of that, Loni Anderson, I think her deal is like she's struggling with aging. Morgan Fairchild, she gives off this persona in the movie of like being very well off, but like we get a quick explanation that her husband had kind of embezzled and then passed away. So like she's, pretty much not doing well. And then Linda Gray, who was on Dallas, she's just kind of like a hippie, I think. Like there's nothing wrong there, right? Like
She's just like, I guess her whole thing is like she's like keto and like sort
yeah.
of yoga, like sort of like wellness, and she's written books about it, but like her secret is that she like loves junk food, which is,
That's right. That's right.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
all we could think of for her. Yeah.
That was kind of, yeah, like, we gotta have something for Linda. She likes Twinkies, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and then I guess her husband, played by Christopher Atkins, like he was on Dallas with her, right? Or like there was something, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever it was. I should have asked, did you
Yeah.
watch any of these shows? Like I know Leslie and I watched Desperate Housewives, and I
Oh, yeah.
watched Dallas when I was younger, but more through like my parents watching it, and I was just kind of there. But like, who of these were you kind of on board with?
I pretty much knew all of them surprisingly. And it was kind of like you, like, I mean, I love Desperate Housewives. That was, I think that came out
Yeah.
when I was, growing up. So I watched it all the way through. And then my mom was super into Knots Landing and like Dallas and stuff, even though that was definitely before my time. Like you said, they played reruns all the time. So like I was very aware and definitely knew who all these people were. I don't know. Just like I feel like we were maybe some of the last people of
Yeah.
our generations to get reruns of things like this, or like Dark Shadows and like all those other random
Yeah.
soap operas. So I would randomly watch them. So I had a good enough, memory of all these people. And then of course they've like been in other things. I
Yeah.
think, Morgan Fairchild was on Friends a few times, if I remember correctly too.
She was like a personality, right? Like I didn't
Yeah.
watch any of the soap operas that she was on, but like everybody knew who Morgan Fairchild was. Like I feel like she would pop up in like those Naked Gun movies as Morgan Fairchild. Like anything she was in, I think she was normally Morgan Fairchild, right?
I
Like
think so. Yeah. And I could be wrong, but like, isn't she also, oh yeah, she's in, okay, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 exactly.
When they
She
do like
plays
the
Dottie,
movie
right?
version, yeah, she's like the Dottie in the movie, which is amazing. So I was like, ah, yes, I remember very well now.
Yeah, and I think the same thing with like Loni Anderson too, right? Like I
Mhm.
watched WKRP in Cincinnati, but like her also. I feel like everyone knew who Loni Anderson was. I think
Yeah.
Donna Mills was the only one that I wasn't like super familiar with. But when I kind of clicked around and looked through her stuff, like, oh yeah, I remember her. But I don't think she wasn't, at least from what I knew, Loni Anderson and Morgan Fairchild were like the big ones in here.
The only one, Donna Mills, I know really well, and that's just because like my mom was obsessed with Play Misty for me when I was growing up. So that was a
Oh yeah,
movie
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw a lot, and so I think she's like the girlfriend of Clint Eastwood.
She's the one, right, that Clint Eastwood wants to be with, but then
Hmm.
what the hell's her name from Arrested Development kind of
Jessica
suits in.
Walters.
Yeah.
And she says that amazing line about her because Donna Mills, when her character's like realizes that Jessica Walters is evil, and Jessica Walters is like, God, you're dumb.
That's right.
It's so good.
It's been a long time since I've seen that. And I saw it like recently for the first time, like within the
Oh,
last
cool.
5 years. Yeah. But back to this movie.
Yes,
Um
yes.
I guess, and the only other thing I would mention is like I always associate Nicollette Sheridan with Desperate Housewives, which
Yeah,
to your point was like later. So like the dynamic of her and Donna Mills like feuding and like I don't know, it just I had a little trouble getting by that. And then also like no, not like everyone does plastic surgery and does their thing. Nicollette Sheridan, I think by far has had the best work done.
sure.
So like I don't know, it felt a little out of place between the five of them. Like everyone looks wonderful, but I don't know, to me it was, I don't know her as like an 80s diva, but
I guess
that's
I'd
more
have
just
to
me.
like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't a big, I've seen like some of Knots Landing, but I'm not
Yeah.
super familiar with it. But I know that since they both were on it, like, I wonder if there was something that
Yeah.
like their characters on that show kind of feuded, or like maybe they were good friends or something.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, they're like,
No.
because Donna Mills is 82 and Nicolette Jordan is 59. So like I
There you
imagine
go.
back in
Yeah.
the day, she probably played like probably like a younger sort of like enemy to her.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Um, and to that point, like, not to jump all the way to the end, but
Mhm.
I felt like Morgan Fairchild was supposed to be everyone's mother or like
Yeah.
stepmother, which, I guess the backstory could be like she, married an older man and like that was maybe like one of the storylines, but like it was very weird. Like at the end, and I guess we're spoiling, but like they're all kind of sitting around a table referring to her as their mother. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like,
Mhm. I know.
um,
But I
but I
guess
would,
okay,
yeah.
what I will say about that what I will
Mhm.
say about that is, like, soap operas were notorious for, like,
Yeah.
somebody could be, like, you know, 10 years younger than someone else, and they'd be like, "Oh, yes, like, this is my grandma." And it was just, like, a thing that they would do, and then or even, like, I remember when, oh god, what's her name? The
I
This
don't
is
know. I don't
riveting
know.
that I don't
I
know who
don't
I'm talking about.
I don't know what her name
Um,
is.
very famous actress who
Oh.
replaced her daughter on a soap opera.
Oh my god.
Uh,
This is
God,
amazing, but not a
Joan
clue.
Crawford.
Oh.
She, like, stepped in when when after like, they replaced her daughter on a show, and they had her play the same character,
Mm.
but, like, obviously
Uh,
vastly different ages, right? So,
yeah,
like, I
yeah, yeah.
feel like, at first I had the same thought, and then I was like, well, it is like that soap opera logic where it's just like
Yeah,
they're basically all the same age, but like this is their mother, and like in
that
some
makes
freak
sense.
accident, she looks younger than or the same age as them somehow, or like some reconstructive surgery that happened on another plot line. I don't know. That part I was like, sure, but yes, I know what you mean.
I did, to that point, like, I did kind of enjoy that, especially towards the end when they're getting the script. Like, there's a lot of like, "Oh, I came out of a coma," or, "I was abducted
Hmm.
by aliens," or, like, a lot of that stuff that I think was very of its time, especially, like, the stuff you're talking about. Like, I appreciated that they threw that in there. I think the only thing that kept running through my head is, like, who is this movie targeted towards? Like, I feel like you and I appreciate it, but like we are definitely not of the age where like we were watching these shows. And
Right.
I don't, I feel like Lifetime and Hallmark are trying to like appeal to like a larger audience and probably tap into like the younger audience. So like why now do you do like divas? Like, I think, and the reason it kind of popped in my head, like, oh, this seems like a lot of fun, because I thought the movie would be a little more Real Housewives esque, and
Yeah.
that's what I thought would be interesting. And like thinking about that while watching, I'm like, why don't you just do a Real Housewives one, right? Like instead
Yeah.
of, and because it was fun to see them, but at the end of the day, I'm like, these aren't like my shows that I watched. So not that this all has to be targeted at me, but like a lot of these soap operas have gone off the air because like interest is kind of diminished in a lot of them. So like, why now, you know?
Well, I think so. I feel like I definitely agree with you. And I feel like what was confusing and what I think would have made more sense, because this does feel a lot like some group of people on production were like,
Yeah.
all right, this is what we do. Like, we bring all these women back, we'll make them from a fake soap opera,
Yeah.
and we'll do like a reunion special that's live, which is like already feels really weird because it's just
Yeah.
like, well, what is the purpose of watching that live? And then like and then at the very end of it, they say that they're like, "Oh, this was so successful that we're making a reality show." And like
Yeah.
they're all going to star in it, but I think as their characters. So I was like, "What does that even look like?" I don't know why they didn't just do the route of like, here's 5 like famous soap actresses, and they won't be like from the shows that they're really from, but we'll just say like in this universe they're all like
Yeah.
very famous soap actresses, and then they all just like they come back for a reality show, which is something that we still do. And you don't have to like, it doesn't even have to be like, you'll have the people that'll come and watch it that loved these actresses, right?
Yeah.
But then you also have, like, we're used to it. We'll have housewives join a cast that are like former
Yeah.
actresses, Lisa Rinna, or like all these people that
Eileen
were on
Davidson.
soap
Yeah.
operas. They can come in and people are like, hey, they're a big personality. So it's like kind of ripe for let's put them all in this house together, like a surreal life kind of thing.
That's
And,
exactly when
you
they started
know,
explaining it, that's what I thought we were getting, because they're like, it's
yeah.
just for a weekend. We're all in this house. Like, because the way that they do it is scripted, and they refer to it as like reality soap or something. I forget at the end, because you're right. Like I didn't realize, but I guess the show was still on, but was going to be canceled.
Mhm.
But and again, we're spoiling, but like it does so well that they're like, oh, we're not going to cancel it, and blah blah blah. Which I didn't even realize was a thing we were supposed to be tense about. Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
thought the dynamic between the women, and especially Morgan Fairchild and Nicollette Sheridan's characters, like that's what, and I think that's kind of what we're getting at. There's just so much going on. Like there's the love story between Alex and Nell, and then each one of these women has like a backstory, like crisis that they're not talking about. And like all that stuff has to be wrapped up. And then we need to get Nell and Alex together. And it's just like, I could not keep track of like who was doing what, and like,
Yeah.
there's so many conversations going on. It's like I almost wish, to your point, like they had just said this is Morgan Fairchild, and like
Yeah.
she's in this movie. Like it would have been so much easier than making up this whole fake universe where this show existed.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and I feel like honestly they could have leaned into that because I know like so another problem I had with this was that they all, showed up at the house, right? And then they were all on board to do it. And then like when Nicolette Sheridan comes, it's like a surprise to all of them. And then they're
well,
like, I didn't know she was going to be here. And really the only drama we know is between her and Donna Mills,
yeah,
but they all say like I won't work with her and it's like, well, we don't know why that
yeah,
is and they don't ever really say it. But like, if they would have done the other route, like where again, like you said, Morgan Fairchild's playing Morgan Fairchild, Nicolette Sheridan plays herself. There is that like very famous thing about she got written off of Desperate Housewives because she was difficult. Now, of course, we've learned since then that that was mostly Terry Hatcher sort of
mhm,
like saying that. So it's like then they could have been like, isn't she the one that was so difficult on her show? Like, I don't want to deal with this kind of thing. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
Something like that where it's like play into it and have fun with it. But yeah, it felt a little disjointed.
100%. Because I feel like a lot of these women have personalities around them, right? Like Morgan Fairchild was this like, I don't know, larger than life. And I guess they do kind of do it, but like she was always like the beauty queen, and like, the straight, like a Kyle Richards type
Yeah.
person, and then Loni Anderson was this beautiful, nice, kind of sweet woman. And Linda Gray, I didn't really know much about like what her personality was, but like the whole yoga thing felt very forced. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, why not just play off what people already know about them? Like, even if you're
Yeah.
going to use like fake character names, but like you're struggling with, oh, I know this person and I know them as this type of person, but now I'm going to give them a different name and a different personality. And you're going to have to like connect that too. It was just like, it was too much. What did you think of the Alex and Nell romance? Like, believable? Like,
Uh, I don't know. Like, I didn't kind of sound like most things in the movie. I didn't totally get
yeah,
what, like, the ghosting thing. It's like, okay, but then like he didn't seem to really like her until they like sort of told him to, if that
yeah,
makes sense, you know? And then like the weird drama of like, oh, she's gonna go flirt with this guy who's sort of like like sort of like I think a Mario Lopez, like
yeah,
entertainment
exactly.
tonight, like we're gonna zhuzh up this whole thing. But it just was like, I don't know, just felt really forced.
Yeah, that whole thing confused me too because there is I think the his name is Tommy on in the movie.
Hmm.
He plays like an Entertainment Tonight host, and like at one point, I forget this over and over again, but Nell is supposed to be directing this. And at one point, Alex is like, oh, yeah, I set up a dinner with you to talk about the show and him and blah, 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 like to get the word out there. But then after, like, this actually was like one of the more enjoyable scenes. They're all the women are like up at night or something talking, or they go talk to Nell and she kind of spills her guts that she is still interested in Alex and isn't sure like what happened. So like they decide to give her a makeover and like you're kind of like, oh, all right, I get it. But also it's like, oh, you need to change so you can get this man, and you're kind of like, ugh. But then she goes out on a date with this guy, and not a date even, but like the outfit she walks out in like looks like she's ready for the red carpet, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
Like,
I know. And then even then when she like flirts with him, it's like really flat. Like she's
yeah,
just kind of like, "Oh, I have to go to that dinner." And he's like, "Okay, well, I don't like that you look nice and that you're
yeah,
not going out with me, but I'm not going to ask you out." But she like looks doesn't even look forlorn. She just looks like, "Okay." I don't know.
yeah.
It just like doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, to your point, like Alex is kind of jealous there, but then not to jump all the way ahead, but like the kind of grand finale, like when they're actually filming this live show, like it's not going well. Alex is like on Instagram or something, like watching feedback real time and realizing that people don't like that the women are being nice to each other, which
Yeah.
is kind of funny. And then during a commercial break, like he starts freaking out. But then Nell is kind of confessing, or it seems like they're about to realize that they still like each other. But then Alex is like, I have this great idea for the script, and just kind of like ditches her. And it's like, okay, so, obviously they get together at the end, but like we were getting towards the last 10 minutes and he's still kind of clueless. And you're like, all right, like we're going to make it like a 180 in the next like 3 minutes here.
Right.
Um, yeah, it didn't, I agree. Like it just did not kind of hit home for me with those two. Um, do we want to talk about, I don't know if there's anything else you want to hit on before we talk about like that last scene, but
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like
No, I'm
that,
also yeah, I think we hit all of it mostly.
yeah. Um, so the whole idea is like Alex doesn't think that this show is going to work because there's no chemistry between the women. And like you had said before, like all we've gotten is them doing like a photo shoot while decorating the tree and like a script reading. So like I'm not really sure how they get that impression, but like the whole thing is like, all right, we've got to get these women back together. And like specifically Nicollette Sheridan's character with Donna Mills, like they got to patch things up. So slowly in like the last 20 minutes, we get everyone's backstory and like what's happened. So it turns out Donna Mills and Nicollette Sheridan were living together in New York, but then Donna Mills slept with Nicollette Sheridan's fiance and like rather than confessing, moved to LA or to Hollywood to be an actress because she has said
Yeah.
like, oh, there's big things out me. And like, so I guess that's kind of forgiven at that point because she confesses that this happened.
I think so. And I don't, that part's kind of confusing too, because like Nicollette says to her, I'm glad you didn't tell me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have married. And I think she says like Jason or something. So I'm like,
Somebody
we
else.
don't know who the other person was. And like, also, why would you have not? Because then she says, yeah. And then my ex used to cheat on me all the time with other people too. So like that pushed me. And I'm like, well, I mean, why is it
Okay.
good that she didn't tell you that then? I don't know. I was just kind of like didn't really understand what the logic was behind it.
Yeah, it was very confusing. Yeah, exactly. It was very loose and not well explained. And then Loni Anderson turns out she's wearing a wig, so she's going gray. So that's a big thing. Um, Linda Gray confesses that she loves junk food. Morgan Fairchild confesses that she's going broke.
Mhm.
At that point, like everything's just kind of out there. So during this commercial break, Alex is getting all this feedback saying how it's not going well. And the other thing I wasn't very like I didn't understand well is these five women, the actresses, are very invested in Alex and like his future and him not losing his job. And I'm assuming he had written for the show before, but like
Mhm.
they all kind of band together to like fix his life and make sure that this show goes well. Like even with the relationship with Nell, they're very much like, we got to do this for Alex. But like, we never really see scenes with the women and him bonding, right? Like the majority of it, he's with Nell or they're like filming and he's kind of sitting on the side, making sure that things are going well, or he's having conversations with Nell. But like, there's not much of like Alex and the women and like getting the impression that like, oh, they're really like a mother figure to him or something. Um, so like I just didn't really get why they cared. I mean, obviously, you have a heart, you want the guy not to lose his job, but like why they were so invested in him. But at any point, like I think it's Morgan Fairchild overhears him saying that it's not going well. And after the commercial break, they decide pretty much to have like a food fight. Which was kind of fun. Like
Yeah.
who is somebody dumps like a whole bucket of gravy over Nicollette Sheridan's head, which I think it was the most like concerning because it was very thick and
It was probably
it's a
real
lot
hot
happening.
too.
Do you think they used like real hot, like
I'm
scalding?
sure. They used
I like
scalding
that.
gravy and then she just was pissed.
And then, um, so like then like the ratings start shooting up and like everyone's giving good feedback, which by the way was also insane because like the idea is they're filming this live and like during a commercial break, Alex is freaking out because he sees people commenting that it's not interesting. So he decides like we gotta completely like rewrite this thing during the commercial break and change things up, which I guess is a thing that happens.
Apparently. I mean, yeah, I guess I know they have writers like even for like sitcoms, they'll have writers on the side, like between,
Doing their thing.
filming, they'll be like, we need to do a different joke because that didn't quite land with the audience. So we have to
Yeah,
do something different. But yeah, hey, the ladies band together and they're like, let's
it's
give
great.
them a Divas Christmas. And then they just
Exactly.
start laying into each other, which is probably like the most fun I had in the whole movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So there's that food fight. Everyone loves it. The ratings are great. They decide that they're gonna, renew the contract for the show. All of this is kind of info dumped on that Entertainment Tonight segment, like at the very end. Like I think the most obnoxious thing I think I heard was and what's her name? Lily, which is Loni Anderson's character. They're like, she's a shoo-in to finally get that Emmy award because she is going gray. And it's like,
Yeah,
all right, like, is that how that usually works? Like you
I
get an Emmy because
know.
you're
That was like so embarrassing. I had the same thought. I was like, what? And that's the same thing too. Is like, wait, so what is this? Is this a reality show now? Like, does her character have gray hair? Like, I was very confused.
it almost felt like and I don't know the who wrote the script and all this, but like it almost felt like what are those things you always see online, like an AI generated movie where there's like you
Yeah,
jump in the things and it's like this is what we spit out. Because even at one point, I think it was Alex that said it or someone when all the women are about to record, and he's like, well, you know what they say in Hollywood, like break your legs or like something like that. Like it was just like, wait, what? Break
Yeah,
legs, he said,
right.
rather than break a leg. And I'm just like, all
Break your
right.
legs.
Yeah, like
Yes.
is this not like are we in some sort of simulator here? But like yeah, and that's kind of where we wrap up. Everything's going well. The thing I'll say from looking at IMDb, apparently the idea is they want this to do well, and there's going to be like sequels. Like every year, there's going to be like a Divas in Hawaii for like Nell
Oh.
and Alex's wedding. Like, so I don't know how this
What?
did, but I don't.
Well, can I say this too? Okay, so speaking of IMDb,
Yeah,
obviously, like these are TV movies, right? So like it's not a typical movie which always has like a ton of promotional
yep,
pictures and posters and stuff. But like you look at other Hallmark movies on IMDb, like they have like a professional movie poster,
yep.
right? You know, the one that they have for this, right? Like,
It's just like a group photo. It looks like if you look up a show from the Food Network from like the
mhm.
90s, like that's the poster. Yeah. It's not it's kind of a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird because there's like I was looking through the other pictures and there's other this is really not an important point, but
Mhm.
I'm very interested in it. There's like other promotional photos of the cast that I almost feel like why don't you just use that one?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. It just doesn't
Why
really make much sense.
Well, even like when we were about to jump on and hit record, I just pulled up the IMDb page and I was having trouble. Like, is this what we just watched? Because it looks odd.
Yeah.
Um, but there is like this, to your point, like this Lifetime movie one where it is a little more grandiose and like made up. And it's like, why not go with that? Um,
Yeah. I know. I don't really understand. Well,
we have not talked about, and we have to, the theme song in this movie, Ladies of the
oh.
80s. Which
Mm.
might have been a highlight for me. Did you there's I forget, like, what scene it actually kicks in, but this movie has its own song, and it's a thing. It definitely it has a very 80s vibe to it. Did you, by chance, look up who the singer is?
I didn't. Is this someone I'm supposed to know?
Tiffany. Tiffany
What?
is the yes, yep.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, performed by Tiffany. Oh my god, that's crazy.
And the other thing I noticed in here, it's co-written by Stephen Dorff, who I think was also the producer and may have like had a hand in writing this. Michael J is also the writer, and he wrote. I don't know if you ever heard that song. It was from I think the '90s, but Toy Soldier.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that guy, he wrote this.
Yes.
So
Wow.
yeah, those three got together, Tiffany, and put this together. Um, So, if you're looking for
I'm
that, it's a
I'm
song.
spooked. This is like I didn't even recognize Tiffany's voice, which I guess
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't anyway, but still.
No, neither and the other reason I looked it up is because I was like, "Oh, wow, like, this movie has its own song." Like, okay. And it popped in my head, like, just based on the fact that, like, everyone in this has been in some sort of, like, 80s, or soap opera role, like, maybe this is someone, and that's when yeah. So, good for her.
Wow. Good job,
Um,
Tiffany.
proud of you. Um, anything else you wanna touch on? Otherwise, we can kinda wrap this up.
No, I mean, I don't I yeah, it was an interesting watch. Like I'm just
The strained look on your face.
it was I don't know, it's interesting. I'm looking through some of the reviews too on IMDb and I'm just like, did I watch the same okay, wait, I'm sorry. Can I read this one,
Oh,
please?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This one is from December 5th. And it says, Schindler's List, this movie is not. Hell, it's not even Devil Wears Prada, but it's fun and nostalgic with some sharp pop culture writing zings. I grew up watching all these ladies on TV and VCR'd every one of their shows when I couldn't watch it live. Linda Gray was always my favorite actress, and it was great to see her on TV again having fun.
Oh, why Schindler's List? Like, that seems like a weird one to go with.
I guess, yeah, it's weird. It's like I wouldn't even say that's like maybe list a Christmas movie and also
Yeah.
not a movie about the Holocaust. I don't know, just a little
Yeah,
random.
real, like, I don't Gone with the Wind or something, like, grandiose, like, Schindler's List feels like a weird pull.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I guess like people that are just we're just happy to see them again together,
Yeah.
which I can understand, but it's like you have to think too, like as I don't know. I think
You
about like these
you get over
actresses
that
were
real quick.
well, and it's like they haven't really done a lot,
Yeah.
for the past several years, and it's like here they're going to come back together, and it's like kind of a big deal, and it's like you how do you feel as like that actress, right? You come back and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the movie I'm in, and like it's not even close to quality that I'm used to.
Yeah, like, I think that's the thing, and it goes back to what we were talking about before, like, why give them, like, characters? Like, why not just
Yeah,
let them be them? Like, alright, give them a different last name, but still have it Morgan something, you know? Like, let them be them because to your point, like, that's why anyone is watching this, to see, like, these 5 women together. It's like I think that's why it's so disappointing and why like I was so excited when watching the trailer and I'm like, "Oh, we should do this instead of the Denise Richards ones." It's like it's such a great idea and could have been so fun and it just felt so flat and it was like super disappointing.
yeah, I know it really was, and it just makes me feel kind of bad for them. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Loni
But
Anderson, sorry, this is really also off
no.
topic, but I'm just doing a deep dive. She was on I think it looks like a mini series
Oh no.
from 2016 to 2020 called My
Oh.
Sister Is So Gay.
What?
Right?
Get out of here. Why am I not seeing this on from
It's
when?
under Lonnie's. It's like her second. Oh, if you look at all of her,
Oh my god, it's the
roles.
second thing on the list. It's right below this. How the hell did I miss that? My sister is so gay. Francis Gay son Seth is invaded by his uptight homophobic sister Amanda after she catches her husband with her best friend Catherine. I'm having trouble even putting that together. But yeah, it's Loni
Yeah,
Anderson who I assume plays the mother, and I don't recognize any of these other people. But oh, Ray
right.
Dong Chong is in it for 2 episodes. So there's
Perfect.
that. Where the hell did this air?
I honestly
Good
don't
lord.
know.
Stars. There's not even like a writing credit on here. Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
there you go,
I know.
Lonnie.
Probably like a web series. That's what
Oh,
the vibe I'm getting from it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I hope not. Um,
Anyway.
she was in Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain.
Oh hell
So,
yeah.
oh, in the Clueless TV series, she was on 1 episode. So there you
Yeah.
go. All right. I think I know the answer, but ladies of the 80s, A Diva Christmas. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are your thoughts or concerns about like this spawning like a whole series of movies?
I mean, I'm okay with it spawning a whole series if they're like better.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'd want them to like really pivot away from what they did here. And I don't want like following Alex and
No.
whatever her name was. I don't
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I would say thumbs down for the movie, but like thumbs up for the ladies. Like I want good things for them,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
valid.
not this.
And I do, yeah, it's a really good point because I would be the same. I would not recommend it, but I do kind of hope it did well because I feel like maybe if they do another one, they've kind of gotten all this backstory stuff out of the way, and now it can just be the 5 of them like being fun and like
Yeah.
that would be a movie. So I'd be on board with that. Oh, we didn't do Happily Ever After. Who from this cast do you partner up with and spend the rest of your life with? Where do you go?
This is tough. I guess I would probably, and I have to go off of character, so I can't really go off of like who the actual actress is. I guess probably Linda Gray, just because like I love food too.
Yeah, she seemed.
That spoke to me. That was
Yeah,
basically it.
yeah. I can appreciate that. I would actually throw a curveball and go with Jeffrey, who
Mm.
was someone's manager, and I don't remember
Oh,
who.
Morgan Fairchild's manager.
Morgan Fairchild. Him, I thought he was great. Like I would
Hmm.
have liked to have seen more of him. And like he's, putting on a holiday party in his offices with everyone. Like he seems like he's having a lot of fun. And,
Yeah,
I think I could be happy there.
sure, that's fair.
So that's it for Ladies of the 80s, A Diva Christmas. 2 thumbs down, unfortunately, but high hopes for the sequel. And we'll see where things go. Small Town Failing Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to send in a question or a comment, long form, smalltownfailingpodcast.com, where you get back episodes, the YouTube videos, all the fun whatnots that we've done in the last couple years. No questions this week from Instagram because this was kind of like a last minute, hey, let's do this now so we don't have to worry about recording during the holiday week. But I don't know, Evan, you got any questions? Anything you want to anything you want to talk
Questions
about?
for the world? Many.
Yeah.
I no, honestly, I feel pretty good about the movie overall. Do you know what
What
you're gonna do next?
I don't. And I've got a bunch of folks kind of lined up, and I'm very excited about all of them. But I don't. I know. Oh shoot, I'm gonna forget her name now and feel awful. But the indestructible food. This is terrible. I'm gonna look it up while we're talking, but I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But she's gonna be on, and we're gonna do. There was a Lifetime movie, or not Lifetime. I'm sorry, QVC movie that came out again this year with David plays a role in it. So I think we're going to do that, which I'm a big fan of.
Okay.
Um, and then outside of that, I don't know what else. Oh, Sarah Dudek. I'm sorry. She was on the Baker's Son episode. So that one we've got kind of lined up. I don't know about the other ones. If you have any suggestions, I'm definitely open at this point.
I wanna I now wanna watch the Denise Richards one for sure. But
It's pretty. It's it holds up better than this, I would say. What speaking of, here's a question: what is like your holiday movie? Like, do you have ones that you'll watch every year? Or Leslie and I will always do Krampus, and then we'll
yeah,
always do like Christmas Vacation and probably Scrooged. Like those are the ones we
yeah.
always have to tick off. I don't know. Do you have any?
Solid. Those are solid choices. You know, honestly, I'm really bad with Christmas like movies. I watch them, but like it's kind of different every year. It's kind of
Yeah.
whatever's on, like Home Alone, or we just saw Christmas Vacation in theaters because we were like, sure, why not? Which
Oh,
is a great movie, super fun to see with an audience.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of like The Holiday. I know that's more of like not a classic, but
Yeah.
that one I was like, I know whenever we go to my fiance's house, they watch the SpongeBob Christmas special, so that's always
Oh,
pretty fun too.
that's a curveball.
Um, I'm not a big like this is gonna sacrilege, but like I'm not a big fan of like old school Christmas movies, like It's a
Mm.
Wonderful Life and stuff.
I watched that for the first time last year just because I felt
Oh,
like you kind of have to. And yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I get why people would enjoy it. But yeah, like I don't have a great desire to watch it again.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, it's a
I
good movie, but it's not one that I'm like, oh, I gotta watch it this year.
I think, and probably it's more of a nostalgia thing for people. Like
Hmm.
they grew up watching it every year. Like, so, for me, it's just not that big of a deal. I went through a period where I was watching a lot of like old musicals. I enjoyed White Christmas a great
Oh
deal.
yeah, great movie.
Um, I liked that, but again, like I don't know if it's like something I'll throw on between now and the holiday. Um,
True. This one I do remember. I pretty much do watch Black Christmas every year, the original.
oh, yep, yep, yep.
'Cause I like
That
how,
one,
like, different it is from like, or how much of, like, anti-Christmas the movie really is,
yeah.
which is kinda funny to me.
Is there one that you particularly don't like that like everyone does like?
Oh, I do, but it's like people get so angry with me.
Oh, what is it?
It's a lot of drama. I I don't understand why people like Elf so much. I'm
I
sorry.
am about to call Leslie down here because same. She does not like it, and her reasoning is she has a real gripe against Zoe Deschanel. Um,
Oh,
like
fair. Okay.
has a lot of trouble. I really like Will Ferrell. Like I can watch him in anything. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's not something I'm like, oh, how dare you? Like we need to watch this. It usually comes on at some point because the kids like it too. But like I get it. Yeah, I don't blame you by any means. And Leslie, I think would definitely be on board. She's probably listening to this cheering right now.
Well, that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Kind of to your point about It's a Wonderful Life. I did not watch this until like 2 years ago for the first time. So I have no like affinity for it at all. And I was kind of like, I just didn't really get it. I like Will Ferrell, not in everything, but like
Yeah.
I didn't quite like him in this. The only thing I mean, I love Mary Steenburgen, so
Yeah.
that was a treat. Speaking of
Yeah.
ladies of the 80s. But she couldn't save it totally for me. It's just one of those, I don't know. Some people are like obsessed with it. Like they think it's
Yeah.
one of the best movies ever made. And so it's really hard for me to like not whatever. They're like, should we watch Elf? I'm like, anything
Sure.
else, please. Just not this.
I have a similar to Home Alone. I hate that movie. I hate
Oh,
all of them. I can't stand him. Macaulay Culkin's character is just so obnoxious. I have a
sure.
theory that they 100% knew he was not in the car and just wanted to get away from him for like a little bit. And like, the whole, oh, Kevin, he's like, it feels a little put on. And
Sure.
especially they do it again, like in Home Alone 2, they leave him. I'm like, all right, I get what you guys are doing here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That whole movie, I find it obnoxious. And we
Sure.
live like 20 minutes from the house, and like it's a big deal around here. And there's a bar in the town downtown that like did a whole Home Alone pop up. So if you go there, it's like themed Home Alone. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, why does anyone give a shit about this obnoxious kid?
Wow.
Like,
That's crazy. I think it's a cute movie. I definitely don't like it as much as some other people do. So I get it. I get where you're
yeah.
coming from.
I root for the burglars, like that they'll
Oh,
get him.
man.
But
Joe Pesci is so good in that movie.
yeah, oh, 100%. I think that's it. Anything you want to plug, Evan, or anything you want to, just
I don't think so. No, I think
perfect.
nothing new. Nothing. I don't really do a lot online anymore, except for this, which I love doing. So I
Oh yeah,
appreciate you having me on as always.
of course.
Um,
No, I love it.
what I will plug now that because I'm looking, I was curious. I'm like, is this movie on Letterboxd? And it is on Letterboxd.
What is it?
And there's an actual like, it looks like this is maybe the official poster on Letterboxd. And it looks much better than the one that's on IMDb. So I will plug, if you're going to look at the movie poster, look at the one on Letterboxd for this.
Oh, well, there you go. All right. Smalltownfailingpodcast.com. Again, you get back episodes, you can get the YouTube links, all the socials. There's also cameo links. I've actually gotten like a couple cameos this past week. So if you're looking for a last minute Christmas gift, I need to thank, I hope I'm remembering, Luke, I've gotten like two from him, and he was getting like dental surgery, and his friend sent one in, and then like he sent one, and like it was wonderful. Like it was super fun, and I'm glad he got them. This will probably be the last show of the year, so I do want to thank everyone that came on this past year. It's been so much fun. Especially Erica Chiswick, who was on the last episode. If you haven't listened to that, please go do it. And everybody, Evan, obviously it has always been a pleasure having you on. Like, I think back to like episode 1, you were the first person that I thought of when I decided to do this. So it's
Meant
been
a
an
lot.
honor and a pleasure. And yeah, I think that'll do it. Like we said, I don't know what we're doing next time, but we'll figure it out. All right, everybody. Happy holidays. Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye.